What is up, metal and heavy music fans? It's Flight of Icarus again with MetalTrenches.com, and today we have a review of Gojira and their new album Fortitude via Roadrunner Records. And hey, if you like to be kept up to date with the best and brightest metal bands and albums from the underground and above, then stick with me by hitting that subscribe button down below. Gojira is a French progressive death metal band formed in 1996 and forging a serious name for themselves with classic albums in the genre like From Mars to Sirius and The Way of All Flesh. Fortitude is the band's 7th album following 2016's somewhat divisive Magma.
Your song is less than 8 minutes? Sellout.
Which found many fans arguing about the more streamlined, kind of rock-oriented approach. Now, I wasn't in love with that album, but let me tell you, that riff, it's a banger. More than anything, it definitely left me curious about what direction the band would go with this new album. Would they double down on the more accessible sound or go back to their roots? The first taste that we got was with Another World, and I gotta say, I really liked it. Great proggy riffs on this one with sort of a cyclical, spiraling quality, kind of like Tool, and then the clean transition into those classic Gojira palm mute chugs. The result is a very hypnotic groove that is also super chill. The chorus is also simple but effective, great for sing-alongs in the crowd. And again, like Tool, it's a nice mix of more traditional verse-chorus-verse, but with development over time, like the additional hammer-on pull-off riffs on the verse chugs, and a more expansive bridge and final conclusion. Honestly, it felt like something that could have been on La Enfant or Magma. Kind of a nice fusion of the two. The Trails is another great track in a similar vein, though leaning more into the former in its structure, which also had me reflecting on Enslaved's 2016 album Rune. Even bigger, more expansive atmosphere on this one. But if you were still hoping for songs on the heavier side, there's plenty of that here too. Born for One Thing is like the perfect way to kick off this album. I love the pop of the snare drum over the ascending harmonics. It's like a fuse burning away just before the impending explosion, not only of the rest of the song, but like a metaphor for our joint anticipation of this record. It's kind of frantic, but also very catchy at the same time. I love the desperation in the vocals. It actually reminds me a bit of Magma's Stranded with that little wailing hook. Cool little mathy Meshuggah part here too to keep things interesting. And then that banger breakdown outro. Top notch, one of my favorites easily. Then there's Sphinx with riffs like an ominous incoming thunderstorm. The sharp, squealing slides are like lightning strikes amidst the dark, billowing clouds. More progressive structure on this one, kind of like Gojira mixed with Crack the Sky era Mastodon. And yes, tracks like these also really bring back the old prog vibes for me in a big way. This is also true for Into the Storm. Another one with a kind of Meshuggah-y kind of riff on the verse. It actually reminds me a little bit of Bleed. I actually saw a lot of drummers nerding out about things I don't fully understand, like ghost patterns, atypical ride rhythms, kick triplets, etc. Suffice it to say, it sounds very difficult to play and is just super fun to listen to. I'm not as in love with the more straightforward chorus. It's just kind of meh in comparison, with lyrics that are also a little bit corny. But there's an even better example of balancing these elements on Newfound, which is a bit of a stomper, again with a dose of Stranded in its main hook. Just an all-around solid deeper cut with a truly epic sound. It's also the longest on the album at 6 minutes and 37 seconds, and while that still may not sound like very long, it once more still manages to really tap into the band's glory days.
How do you do, fellow kids? What?
But if you want a real face melter, check out closing track Grind. True to its name, this may very well be the heaviest thing the band has ever written. The intro alone is just a battering of chaotic drums, slides, and harmonics. And given that it comes right after the aforementioned more chill and spacey The Trails, it just seems to come out of absolutely nowhere.
Not so fast.
But outside of simply talking about which tracks are the heaviest or the proggiest, we also get Gojira further experimenting with other ideas as well. Of course, we have Amazonia with its kind of world music flair. Interesting jaw harp effect on the intro here. Adding in the flutes, it makes for a more exotic sound fitting to the title. Another heavy rocking verse on this one too, but with very dark atmosphere, nice little flourishes happening with the guitar, and some more Mastodon vibes as well. Love that use of the deep bending of the strings on the chorus, and the drums sound phenomenal as well. It even has a nice little drum solo that transitions us to the big melodic bridge. Awesome. Similarly, there's the titular interlude, which is largely driven by tambourine, hand drums, and either like a woodblock or cowbell. It's got these harmonized oh-ohs that are purposefully muffled alongside a pretty catchy bass guitar riff. This ultimately transitions seamlessly into the appropriately titled The Chant, which just feels like a big come together with the audience now all oh-ohing together. A unifying mantra alongside its bouncy, uplifting guitars and classic rock solos. Seems like a big swaying lighters in the crowd kind of moment.
Come on, people now, smile on your brother.
And then Hold On is an interesting one as well. I was actually pretty caught off guard by the moody a cappella intro, quite haunting actually. It really takes its time to linger in the atmosphere before kicking into the crunchy guitars around the 2-minute mark. And the patience here is perfectly paid off with the second half sounding absolutely craterous as a result. A great study in perfect pacing and dynamics. I love the big pulsating bass on this one too. So as for what direction this album goes, it's a little bit in all of them. Those who liked the more accessible rock-structured songs get those. People who want the more progressive elements have plenty to dig into there. And if you still just want to be crushed by death metal, I don't think you'll be disappointed either. More importantly, it doesn't feel like a mess of opposing elements. Gojira have managed to expertly weave all of this together into a perfectly flowing singular experience. One that honestly left me questioning if this is one of their best albums to date. If nothing else, it's one fitting of the name, both for a band in its 3rd decade of existence and the human race at large. Turning to my scales, I give Fortitude a 10 for enjoyability. It defied all of my expectations. I was kind of on the fence as to whether I was going to love or hate this thing, and ultimately, I love it. I give it a 10 for musicianship. It's both stunningly written and performed. Across the board, every instrument really does its thing. And I give it a 9 for innovation. It finds them on more solid footing than ever while still taking chances, which is something that I really appreciate in a band that's been around for a while. So a 9.7 overall and an A for Gojira and Fortitude. Get it once more right now via Roadrunner Records. And y'all, don't forget to check out my Gojira tier list as well to see where I rank the rest of their discography. You can also chat with us on Discord and support on Patreon. But that'll do it for now. Flight of Icarus signing off. I will see you in the trenches.